Alright, what's up you guys? Welcome to this Thursday edition of SHARKNEWZ Live, as I am the only host here on this channel. Your boy, Sharky Shark, Shark Attack, Shark Man, Shark Boy, no Lava Girl. How's everybody doing tonight? It is practically very cold here in the East Coast. It was very hot like a few days ago, and then out of nowhere it just dropped down to like the 60s, and I was like, holy crap. But otherwise, everything is going well. It was raining like crazy yesterday. Otherwise, everything else, yeah, pretty smooth sailing. It's probably going to be a slow week in the G.I. Joe world, at least for the next, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, but otherwise it should be a fun stream tonight, because it's gonna I'll try to think of some interesting topics in the next few live streams, just until we get some new things going around. In other news, just until we get some more people here in the chat, over the past weekend-ish, I took a trip down to Philly, visited my best friend, and we both saw Linkin Park together, and you can tell by my hat, this was part of the merch. His wife was gracious enough to, or very loving enough to, give us a VIP, the VIP package, so I managed to do some really cool Linkin Park stuff backstage. And for those who don't know, Linkin Park is my favorite band and always has been since 2000. And yeah, it was quite an experience, quite an emotional one for me, because it was my first time watching them. Unfortunately, you know, there was no Chester Bennington, but you know, what can you do? Otherwise, the performances were pretty great. All right, so yeah, otherwise, you know, I had a great time. It was great to kind of just unwind, get away, listen to some music with some friends, and kind of just escape for a little bit, and not, you know, be in the toy world for a long time. So let's catch up with the chat real quick and see what's going on. We have Robert in the chat, Russell Terrell. Let's see here. Hold on. Russell asks, did you back the SNOWCAT? I did not. There's already other pre-orders and other figures that I want in my collection, and right now with Classified I'm being extremely selective. Therefore, I'm not going to be buying every single figure, nor do I want every single figure in Classified. I'm going to be extremely selective, and right now, when it comes to collecting, I'm having a lot of fun getting like other brands and other properties at the moment. I mean, G.I. Joe is great, you know, don't get me wrong. It's my number one brand, but you know, there's some figures in Classified that I don't really need, so it's not like a big deal for me. But otherwise, no, I did not get the SNOWCAT. Yeah, I hear that Trench Vipers are starting to ship out, and Robert sent me a very funny photo, and I totally forgot to add this into tonight's live stream, so that sucks. Hopefully I can put it in next live stream. I totally forgot, Robert, my bad. Sins, how's it going? Welcome to the chat. We have Joshua. What's up? He says, YouTube actually lists this as my most frequent emoji. That's what's freaking us up. We got the shark emoji. Awesome. Sins with a shark emoji as well. That's great. We have Liquid Identity says, get groceries or talk Joe. Ooh, I'll hang in there for a little while. Priorities. All good, man. It shouldn't take too much. This stream shouldn't be too long, but we'll see what happens as usual. Wilfredo Diaz, Ionic Blood, how's it going? Classic subscribers here on the channel. Toy Odyssey. We have Kevin Kelly, how's it going? Of course, Robert again with the shark emojis. That's what's up. Timothy James, how's it going? He says, Joshua, I thought it was a little cheap that they have 2 tripods but only 1 machine gun. I know I can take it from someone else, but geez, I don't know what you're referring to, but probably the Trench Viper, I suppose. Rachel says, any effects from Hurricane Aaron? Thankfully no effects, just a lot of wind and rain, and everyone thankfully is doing fine here, so we're all good. Thank you for asking, Rachel. Title Manishir, Legend, what's going on, man? We have and he gives a shark emoji. We have Don Carlos says, "What's up, Shark? I wish I was in the 60s here in Sacramento. It's 102. Damn, my father would love that weather. He absolutely hates the cold. But yeah, I'm a winter baby, so this is right up my alley, so I'm good." I thought that was the Avengers hat. No. Close. Joshua says, "If you're ever passing through central New Jersey, drop me a line. You could check out the collection. Plus, there's a retro store 30 minutes from here." You know, one time I went to Jersey. I went to this place called Zap Comics while I was doing a toy hunt at what was it, New Jersey Toy Con? That's what it's called, right? So I'm not too far from Jersey anyway, and it's been a while. The last time I went to New Jersey Toy Con was probably during COVID, which was probably the worst thing anyone could ever do. But I went there and that was fun. That was when Classified was really just starting. But yeah, I really like the Zap Comics store. That was fun. And plus there was a Dunkin' right next door. So imagine, you know, you go into a comic book store or a toy store and then you buy like figures and comics, and then right next door you treat yourself to some like coffee and donuts. Like, can't get any better than that, man. Stigma NYC, what's going on, brother? Whiskey Tango, welcome to the chat, brother. I haven't seen you in a long time. I know you said you've been busy, but it's great to see your name here in the chat, Whiskey. He says, "Slightly disappointed in myself for backing the HASLAB." All good, man. I know you wanted to you know, get the, what was it? You wanted the Frostbite figure, I believe, right? Jimmy So, how's it going? Thank you so much for joining, Jimmy, all the way from Hong Kong, I believe, right? Damn, it's good to have an international subscriber here. Nerd Alert, what's going on? Says Shark Tank, aka the chat. That's cool. Jimmy So says, "I saw somewhere that the police officer was coming." Yeah, there was a post on the socials saying that supposedly the GIJOE Classified Police Officer Legacy Series is supposedly coming soon in terms of pre-order. I do not know how accurate or official that really is, but it's roughly stated that it, you know, in the post that it's potentially coming soon, or maybe it's land, or because we know that those figures are already here in the US regardless. Just when they're gonna go up for pre-order, nobody really knows right now, so I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. But I will definitely keep you guys all updated. Make sure you check that post tab page, and I'll definitely provide links whenever that police officer goes up for pre-order. Let's see here. Jimmy So says the police jacket is actually Law's jacket. Oh, nice. There we go. Rachel says modular fortifications porta potty set is surprisingly cool. Yeah, I mean, damn, I wish I should have had that photo that Robert sent me. I'll have to use it for next live stream. Nerd Alert says it's cold in Boston. Everyone is pissed. It was 71 today. Horrible. Yeah, but I'm not complaining. I love it. Commonwealth Watch, Community Watch says Globulus will definitely be a deluxe figure. It will be big. Oh, I mean, 100%. There's no way that Globulus will not be anything short of deluxe and an exclusive. To have a beast of a figure like that to be a normal release it would be Hasbro's way of just throwing away money. So they would have to milk it as much as they can, and they know with all three Cobra Law figures at the moment sold out. Well, okay, we haven't got to Pythona yet, but we know that she's going to be selling out eventually. So with Globulus being the last main big baddie, we know that it's gonna be an easy call. Whiskey says, "Yeah, just Frostbite, but I might as well have the vehicle with him." Of course, man. Might as well. What's up, says Paul. Just breezed on in. Good to see you, man. We're just getting started. Nerd Alert says porta potty. Robert says 80s in St. Louis. It was an excellent break. Nice. All right. So in today's stream, we're going to be talking about the OG 13, the original 13 GI Joes, and it seems like the classified line has almost completed this particular group of characters. For those who haven't read the Marvel Comics, the first issue of GI Joe, and I know there's many other instances with the you know, the original 13. But in that first issue, I kid you not, when I first read it, that first issue literally is the definition of G.I. Joe. Now, I know in the cartoon it's more campy, it's happier, it's more kid-friendly. However, when you read that first issue, you're kind of like, you get the sense of how intense this mission really is, right? So we see Hawk, or I think it was Hawk, I'm pretty sure it was Hawk, I don't know. So, but we see Hawk recruiting some of the characters, and they're each in their own area, like training and stuff like that. We even see an instance where Snake Eyes is unmasked, and they're just like, holy shit, look at his face, with a very shocked expression. And so we see how intense that this particular issue is, because when we see Cobra, we don't see Cobra as the way it's depicted in the cartoon. When you see Cobra, it's really like it looks like a very menacing organization that feels like a threat to the world. It's not like it's a typical bad guy, so we're gonna go get him. That first issue showcases just how powerful Cobra really is, and how mysterious Cobra really is, because on top of that, we don't really get to see Cobra Commander's face, which was really great, but we see like a portion in that comic of how Cobra Commander is standing there. I think he's talking to Baroness or Destro, I don't know, it's one of those. He's talking to Baroness, and we see like the whole Cobra military, we see like the vehicles, and they're in some kind of village. And the part that makes that issue so damn intense is that when the Joes get to the island, you see dead bodies there, and that tells you just how menacing Cobra really is. It's not like how the cartoon shows, like, oh, they're just hungry for like laser weapons and just like grabbing money and they just want to like take over the world kind of thing. This first issue literally shows you like a dark, edgier version of G.I. Joe, which kind of coincides with like the Ninja Turtles movie and G.I. Joe Resolute, where we see like actual humans, civilians, kids all like dead in the village. And when the Joes get to that village, you're just like holy crap, like I did not realize like it was this dark and edgy. And then the Joes are like, we have this threat is more intense than, you know, it's going to take us for, so we got to definitely you know, be on our toes. And on that point, the Joes do their thing, and then on top of that, by the end of the issue, what I really liked about it is Cobra Commander does escape, which is really awesome. And it's cool because Cobra Commander can be like that character that can just like escape through like underground bunkers and whatever. But the fact that he escaped, and the Joes are just like, we don't know who he is, we don't know how we're gonna find him. But even though they kind of took over, like each Joes of the 13 were kind of like doing their own thing, part of that mission, like each was handy in their own way. But to see the Joes kind of like, oh shit, like Cobra Commander escaped, we don't know what's gonna happen moving forward, that made it very very intense. Therefore, when we look at the G.I. Joe classified versions of the original 13, here is our the whatchamacallit, the almost original 13. So this list basically excludes a lot of the original releases that the G.I. Joe Classified line did, and we're talking about like the Hawk and Scarlet from Wave 1, and then we have, who else, like the Cobra Island Breaker. So this kind of goes more towards the retro style reissues of the G.I. Joe line, at least in the classified series, or figures that are re-released to look more classier than the original first releases that we had prior. So the only ones at the moment that I still wanted to include was Clutch and Grunt. The thing about Clutch is that Clutch has that whole modern cool aesthetic of, you know, like that updated look. However, there's a very, 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 very good chance that we are going to see Clutch come back again in a slightly stripped down version, which might make it you know, a good incentive to buy it. And obviously it's probably going to come without the vamp, or it could come with the vamp, but maybe it could be you know, version 2, like the tan version, Mark 2 or whatever. So we know that we had a rock and roll re-release that was part of the retro line. The breaker figure was not necessarily retro in terms of packaging, but it was part of the mass device. However, if you kind of research breaker, he still has a different outfit roughly. So this kind of, I forgot which one this pays homage to. So it really depends on your preference on how or what style of collecting you want. Then we have the retro carded Snake Eyes. Now some people could still use the polar bear version Snake Eyes if you so to choose, but you know, we'll use the retro one for now. Then we have the Hawk that comes with the MMS, which was the Amazon exclusive. So with that figure, we know that what was I saying? Yeah, we know that we already had a regular Hawk figure before with the bomber jacket and more of the version 2 one, but this one is obviously more classier with the blonde hair, etc. So that's obviously going to be a good one to own. And then Scarlet. So Scarlet, this is obviously going to be the most definitive version of Scarlet that we have. And the reason why I say this is because we only had one Scarlet, which was the first version Scarlet, which is part of the Operation Blackout video game, which was, you know, the heavy armor and roughly in the same color schemes, but it was more like looked more Fortnite anime style ish. So this one is obviously the most definitive Scarlet that we have in the collection. So I don't know if we're ever going to get like a new Scarlet in the future. But for now, if you have this Scarlet, then, you know, there's no need to replace it or anything. Then we have Stalker, and Stalker was a huge, well, not say huge, but he was a great update compared to what we had before, because I still love the first version of Stalker, because it was more like, despite the muted colors, it looked more intense, and I just love that Stalker. I mean, that Stalker figure is awesome. But this one is more classier, and of course people were stating like the beret was colored wrong, but at least it has the vibrant green camo design, so that's great. Then we have Grunt, and Grunt is definitely going to be a figure that's going to be re-released probably at some point. I don't know when, but because this is more of the updated one, but we'll see what happens. And then we have the 2 new figures that are going to be released probably later this year, which is from the Target Fall Geek Out event, which we have is Steeler and Short Fuse. So until we get official product shots, I'll be sure to add them in once the time comes, but we know those 2 are coming in at, you know, soon. And then we know that Flash, well, when I say confirmed, we know that Flash has been a listing that's been there for a while now. Therefore, we know that Flash is coming. And then we have the 2 last remaining figures, which is Zap and Grand Slam. And if you actually remember from the comic book, the first issue, there is the 14th Secret Joe, which was Shooter. Now I know we already have the Shooter in the female version, the Night Force one, but I remember in the comic there's like that little panel that has like all the rosters of all the 13 characters, and then you see the 14th one that's like hiding in the corner that says like number 14 Shooter. So I don't know if they're gonna do anything with that to give us like a bonus figure, but who knows. We'll see how that works. All right, so now let me catch up with the chat real quick because I'm pretty behind. Welcome Couch Boy to the chat. Welcome. Will Newman, how's it going? He says my Rattler arrived. That's freaking awesome. Congrats, man. Whiskey says issue 31 was my personal favorite issue. Ooh, we should probably read it on the live stream then. Jason, how's it going? Good to see you. We have JDS Sweat. Do you think the new OG13 2-pack means we won't get a Mobat? That's a very good question. The Mobat is obviously iconic to one of the characters, and the fact that we're getting one of them inside a 2-pack, I mean, the thing about this question is it's like a hit and miss, right? The fact is it's GI Joe, therefore it's going to be hard to not say that we won't get it, because we have to find a reason for them to release a MOBAT with the figure. Maybe they could re-release the figure and probably do like a different version of it, or maybe, because we have to think about it this way, like we know that the G.I. Joe team does like variants in terms of packaging, right? So if it's in the old classic, you know, the classic bubble with like the fire in the background or whatever, then we know that's like the retro version that pays homage to the old, you know, classic figures. But if it comes in those gray squared boxes, then we know that's like the modern, quote unquote modern updated version of classified figures. So, you know, there could be a slight chance that we could get re-releases of them again with the MOBAT too, because again, it's G.I. Joe, it's Hasbro, you know, they are true to always milking characters and re-releasing them, and we know that they're going to be you know, because there could be an instance where they could re-release figures and do pinless joints, right? Like we could already have figures and then do pinless joints for some of them earlier figures or whatever that had pins. But you know, it's very tricky. Like, I don't know, I mean, I would never say never. I'm sure we might get a MOBAT someday, but having a MOBAT and then double dipping on the same figure seems like a Hasbro logic to me. So chances are we might have to double dip as well, but we'll see. But good question though. Russell Terrell says absolutely need Flash Zap and Graham Slam. Hell yeah, Clutch is so good. Yeah, Clutch is actually in my top 10 favorite classified figures. I love the Clutch figure. It looks freaking amazing. Okay. Couchboy says I'd say issue 21 and 26 was his favorite issue. The tan vamp is definitely coming. Oh, because if they already have the molds for the vamp and stinger, then we know that we're gonna get a tan one at some point too. Iron Blood says the set is looking good. Hell yeah. Whiskey says there's no question that 21 is epic. I love the ninjas, but 31 had pretty much everything. I like the comic that brings back so much nostalgia when I read it. Yeah, man. If a comic brings back some goodness to you, then that's what's up. Rachel says this is the Sunbow Breaker. There we go. So we have the Sunbow Breaker, and then we have the comic breaker as well. So, or the Sunbow, and then the original toy version. So thank you, Rachel, always there with the clutch. No pun intended. Paul says Breaker still available at E-Collectibles. Not sure what that is, but I guess it's a website. Russell says since we are getting the MMS, we the flak and laser cannon. What? Whirlwind would be cool. Everyone's agreeing. Issue 155. William says, I'm so happy with this line today. My Snake Eyes and Bear arrived. Nice, man. Congratulations. I hope you like it. I'm absolutely eyeing the ramen tank for the 2-pack, says Title Manashir. Nerd Alert says, Jim Shooter was a legend. Tom DeFalco is my friend, uncle who did a lot back then. Oh, nice. We got a legend in here. Okay, thank you. It's JD Sweat. Thank you. That makes it a lot easier for me. I appreciate that. Copy Joe's, what's going on, bro? It's good to see you. Welcome to the chat. Shout out to Copy Joe Toys. Joshua says, I get why people love the OG-13, but I don't get those who say they're out after that. So many good characters were in 85 and 87. Well, for those that are here in the chat, if you want to help out Josh's question in terms of why are so many collectors saying that they're going to get out after the OG-13, let him know. I'll read your comments in the chat. Because it is true, there are so many amazing figures within the mid 80s that came out. However, there is a very niche fan base that strictly wants to collect the original 13, and maybe it has, and I'm just guessing here, but it might have to do with having an extreme military aesthetic. It might be because it's very it it has like a more like an army feel to it, where that was like the pivotal aspect of G.I. Joe before they involved like ninjas and all these sci-fi futuristic characters, and became more like a, you know, before you're adding in like other characters like Quick Kick and Spirit and all that other stuff. So the original 13 kind of gave it like that that rigorous like team feel of like, okay, these are just selective group of characters, and these are only like 13 of them, which is why they're all like extremely popular. And then, not to say the others aren't, but again, if you like, you know, if you were like a collector that actually like was there at the time when the first issue released, then I'm sure like it plays a big role in their lives, in the sense of they were born with just having the original 13 being part of their G.I. Joe fandom and collections, before they added like I don't know, like Mainframe and Dial Tone and like all these other characters. So Will Newman says, because I only collected until 1985. Xeno Prime, welcome to the chat, says, how's everyone going? Robert says, I was an army brat when they came out, so it looked like the life I was living. Okay, that's a good one. Whiskey says, Action Force seems like they will be making some old school looking figures down the road. Oh, I can't wait to do a video on that one. Will Newman says, issue number 1 of the comic book is my favorite. The original 13 were awesome. I agree. Couchboy says, nerd alert, I have the complete Marvel run. The 155 comics is something I had to complete. Nerd alert says, I'm really building a great Joe collection, still cherry picking the line, a lot of filler repaints, but when the banger drops, look out. Ken Matinee, welcome to the chat, says, I like G.I. Joe from all years made, but I think the figures made from 82 and 87 was the most interesting. Yeah, I mean, 82 to 87, what do we have? We had like Dial Tone, Mainframe, Jinx, Tunnel Rat. I mean, there's like so many. Couchboy says, my first few tours, I got the Marvel run completed. Nice, nice. Yeah, one day I hope to collect the all the Joe comics. I have a good bunch of them, but I don't have a complete run, which I hope to do someday in the future. Also, there's about less than 75 people here in the chat, and we only have like 28 likes. Make sure you hit that like button, folks. JD Sweat says, class of 1985 is my favorite. And you have to remember too, the OG 13, they were also like, they were colored in a way where it's just like dark green and just like greens and browns, and you know, it just, again, it had like that military feel to it, which is why it made it I guess intimidating, or like it made it exciting and popular to collect. Jason says, any news on the 50th cop? Apparently there's a post on the socials saying that the Legacy series cop figure will be going up for pre-order soon. I don't know how accurate or true that is at the moment, but that's kind of the word on the streets for the cop figure. So I will definitely be posting it on my community tab page, or the post tab page, so make sure you guys have notifications on, because I know a lot of people don't get notifications until later, so I would hate for you guys to like miss out on the cop figure if you haven't gotten it yet. So yeah, I'll post a link when I can. Yeah, I saw the you know, GameStop has the whole run, the G.I. Joe run, like it's like this big ass comic book like bundle, and it's like, it's way too huge, man. I would rather you know, buy like individual issues that you get like in the bins at comic book stores for like $1, or like, you know, but right now the closest comic book store, they're selling the, you know, the Marvel run, and each comic is going for like $15 each. Whereas I remember I would be buying them, at least at some point they were like $3 to $4. Now they're like $15. So I'm just like, geez, that's kind of, I mean, it makes sense why. It's just, I don't know. Copy Joe says it's mostly nostalgic and a tribute to the first original 13 when it was really the OG 15, missing Spark and Shooter. Ooh, Spark. That's a good one to know. Jason says sweet Krispy Kreme or Dunkin'. Ooh. You know, Krispy Kreme has some really good donuts, man. Sometimes Dunkin's donuts are very like stale. It's very rare if you get like a juicy donut. Pixel Forge, welcome to the chat, says I just got my Rattler yesterday. Congratulations, man. How do you like it? Christopher Pierce says, any word on an Arctic cop? Not yet, but I'm sure we will get something. We'll talk about the Arctic subteam shortly. I just wanted to start off the stream with the OG 13. Copy Joe says Spark helped assemble the original 14. Ooh, that'd be cool. What if they put Spark part of a HASLAB? That'd be interesting. Will Newman says, I collected issues 45 to 82, had a few earlier issues, 1, 3, 5, and 10. Later I bought all the IDW graphic novels. I was a big fan of the image run, and I don't know if you guys are, if you read any of their later issues, like mid 2000s or late 2000s, or like, something like that. There's actually a subline called Frontline. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that or if you have read it, but there's like a 4 or 5 story arc within that Frontline issue where there's about 5 or 6 Joes that go to the Arctic and they're fighting like these giant Yeti monsters. I think like Snake Eyes, Scarlet, Lifeline, Duke, and I forgot who the other 2 were. Yeah, that issue was freaking amazing because it's kind of like the movie The Thing. If you guys haven't seen the movie The Thing, it was like the John Carpenter one. That issue is very reminiscent to that because those characters, they just form like a group, like a assemble of like 5 or 6 characters, and then they go to the Arctic, and then they go inside this base where they're trying to figure out where the missing scientists are, and then there's like these Yeti monsters like underground and shit like that. And that was such a fun issue to read. Like that's like one of my top favorite runs, like that, just those 4 issues or 5, one of those things. Russell Taylor says, what's the drink tonight, Shark? Dr. Pepper. Unfortunately, no Dr. Pepper, but I did. Yesterday, I bought the Midnight Baja Blast from Taco Bell. That was freaking amazing. I loved it. But today is the Arizona iced tea. Although this is absolutely just sugar water, but hey, what are you going to do? Lidub says, oh, welcome to the chat. Lidub says, hello guys, have you talked about the Steeler and Short Fuse release yet? We talked about it in the previous live stream, but once we get more official product shots, then I'll definitely have more, information about it. But at the moment, it's stated it's going to be a Target exclusive, and it's going to be a Target Fall Geek Out release, and usually that's supposedly in October, I think. So I have the dates. We'll talk about that shortly later on in the stream, if you still stick around for it. Whiskey says Devil's Due Frontline was awesome. The Thing still holds up. Yes, sir. Oh, Bat and Joe fan, welcome to the chat. Says I read all the Image comics and have those Frontline issues. Really enjoyed them. I agree. They're just so great. I used to buy those comics back when the store FYE used to carry comics. Those early 2000s days were fun, man. I got the first volume of Mass Market Compendium paperback, much more affordable than. That's true. It is cheaper than, for sure. Hey Romo, welcome to the chat. It says no cactus, cooler shark. All right, so other than that, we have again the last 3 remaining original 13 figures to kind of complete our run. After that, I don't know how many collectors will dip from the classified line. I don't know what the G.I. Joe team is going to do after this. Because we're in 2025, we still have a few more events in the year, so there's a very good chance we could get a flash officially confirmation from the Joe team, and then we could get Zap and Grand Slam within the next year or two. Again, I don't really know what's going to happen to the classified line because, again, when I was doing G.I. Joe videos in 2020 when it first started, and then moving forward, there's a lot of collectors that were saying I'm only here for the original 13, I'm only here for the 13. So I'm sure that they are still collecting all the other Joes too, but I don't know what the popularity will be for Joes after these 13 are done. And of course, they're gonna wait for vehicles and stuff like that too, but once these 13 are done, I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm sure G.I. Joe will still be around because we still got over 500 characters left to make in the classified line. But if you realistically look at it, the G.I. Joe team has roughly made almost some of the main characters already. The popular ones, mostly all the straight ones or whatever. Therefore, there's really not, there's still a lot to make, but they're also the deep cuts, or the ones that are Toxo Vipers and Hydro Vipers and the version 2 Eels, or Shadow Viper, figures like that. So not sure, again, so those are characters if people are if they're interested in, but we already got all the original hard hitters right in the beginning, and which respectfully so, because that's the only way to make the line exciting, because you have to throw in the hard hitters, and plus with the 7 Snake Eyes that we already have, and then the three Dukes, and then the repaints and whatever. So it's gonna take some time. Jason says, bro, you were the #1 channel back then, still are. Holy crap, what a nice comment. I'm gonna pin it. Thank you so much, man. That's a very nice comment. I appreciate that. Rachel says, I hope Grand Slam comes with a jump platform and silver pads. Yeah, because if you guys remember when they were unboxing the HASLAB Rattler, Lenny did say that when he was looking at Glenda, when he was unboxing Glenda, he was saying oh, these have Grand Slam, what was it, Grand Slam, or was he talking about Flash? Or it was a Grand Slam. He did say it has Grand Slam aesthetics and weapons, etc., etc. So we know that we're gonna see whatever Glenda came with. Some of her accessories might be reused again with Grand Slam. So that's definitely a big indication that they're probably working on him. Not sure when it's gonna be released, but at some point. But yeah, good. That's a good one, Rachel. Ruski says, I miss seeing Joes at Woolworth. I love Woolworth, man. That was a great store. I bought all my original 94 Automorph Power Ranger flip heads from there. All 6 Power Rangers from there, from 1994. Marnu says, I want Grand Slam with a Hal. That's a good one. You can do reissues. Hold on. Paul D, welcome to the chat. It's good to see you, brother. Do we have anybody new here? A Romo says, what are the original Cobra 13? Oof, tough question. I don't know if there's an original Cobra 13, but in terms of main Cobras, let's do a quick little count before we think about it. Cobra Commander, Destro, Baroness, Tomax, Zamat, do you want to include Storm Shadow in there? Hold on. Major Blood, Firefly, Storm Shadow, Scrap Iron, Did I say Dr. Mind? I guess Dr. Mindbender. Did I say Dr. Mindbender? Crap. Alright, so I'm at 10 right now and I'm missing 3. I guess we can do Zartan, but then then you have all the other Dreadnoks. But I guess we'll use Zartan. Then I need 2 more. Who would be the other 2? Good question. I don't know. As much as I like Stalker, I think this version 1 fits better than the retro one. Yeah. Version 1 fits better. I mean, version 1 was really cool. I love that one. And then we have Rocky Teller. Oh, that was Rocky Teller. Jason says Airtight, Psych Out, Deep Six, Shark, Spearhead, Max, Charbel, Muskrat. Oh, hell yeah. Those are some great figures, man. Deep Six, Psych Out, Pathfinder, Muskrat. Oh man, I can't. Those are some. Honestly, like my favorite run of G.I. Joe, as much as I love the original characters, like I love it when we got towards the era of like Muskrat and Tracker and the Battle Force 2000 and Muskrat. I loved even a lot of the figures from the Deke series. Like those were great. Televiper. Well, Televiper is more of a troop builder. There's not like a specific Televiper, if that makes sense. So I don't know if I would put him in there. Same goes with like Cobra officers or the troopers. Lidub says I literally don't like most of those guys. Okay, so anyways, so we'll come back to the original 13 once we get, you know, official product shots in terms of like, you know, better photo photography for Steeler and Short Fuse. But for now, we should see a re-release again of Clutch at some point, and even Grunt, but the other ones seem more classy enough that this will probably be a good one for now. So again, we'll come back to this in the future. All right, so something I want to talk about for fun is, this might trigger a lot of people, but we've seen that Walmart has done a really great job at canceling Crystal Ball figures. Now, some people have gotten Crystal Ball, a lot of them have gotten their Crystal Balls canceled, and I wanted to do a fun little, you know, comparison with Crystal Ball and the Ghost Viper, which hasn't gone out for pre-order just yet, but I'm sure we will see him at some point. Let me know in the chat, do you think that obviously they use the right colors, they're all in unison, so it makes it look like a great, you know, group to be with Crystal Ball. But how do you guys feel knowing that a character like Crystal Ball is getting like his own like minions, or getting his own like army builders? You know what I mean? Like, because again, Crystal Ball has like probably one of the top 3 best effects in Classified, with all those translucents, head sculpts, or like the all the other stuff. Therefore, when you see Ghost Viper and all of his accessories, that's what makes the figure like freaking amazing. However, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure that it's going to be even better in person. But I can just imagine people who are somehow going to be like army building Ghost Vipers, and then having Crystal Ball stand like right there in the front, and then you have all these like translucent greens, like wolves and snakes, and of course the Ghost Viper comes with all these additional 2 heads and stuff like that. And we've talked about it because they had it at display at San Diego Comic-Con. But I'm surprisingly very, very pleased with just these 2 figures in general, because I'm one of those collectors that I love like a sci-fi mystical world kind of world building. So Crystal Ball and Ghost Viper kind of runs right in my aesthetic of toy collecting, and I think they're gonna look really, really okay. Like they're gonna look great in my collection at some point. But let's see what the comments have to say, or the chat. Paul says we need a HASLAB Warthog. One day, man, one day. Lidub says, but I'd bet Classified would do a great job with them, even though they're not my personal favorites. Couchboy says, after 13, we had 3. Will Newman says, I got a delayed message, then Crystal Ball arrived in a Walmart bag with a sticker with my name on it. Oh, that's nice. Good stuff. Title Manishir says, oh man, I found Crystal Ball and Night Force 2-pack at Walmart on Tuesday. Yeah, you know, surprisingly, a lot of, not a lot, but some collectors have been finding that aisle of like this new display of Hasbro products, and obviously like my Walmart is complete ass, so I know I'm not going to see it one bit. But Crystal Ball was being canceled by Walmart. However, there's like stacks of Crystal Balls being displayed on pegs in certain collectors' Walmarts, which I find it very fascinating that Walmart has the nerve to cancel people's pre-orders that they did like half a year ago, months ago, and then on top of that, suddenly you see like 8 or 9 Crystal Balls on the pegs next to like Law and Order and a Stinger and whatever all the other figures are that's coming out at the moment. Joshua says, I got my notice of cancellation 2 days ago. Damn, that sucks. Jason has, oh, Salvo is going to be great. Ambush, hell yeah. So many great names. Yeah, I love it. Scoop, yes, you put Scoop. Link Talbot, yes. Rocky Teller says, ironically, Walmart canceled a lot of pre-orders. There, yeah, good, exactly what I was just talking about. They're fully in stock in store. Jose says, were the trench made to order? It's in stock, but it says the pre-order window is closed. No, they were just traditional classic pre-ordering from Hasbro Pulse's website. Definitely not made to order. Rachel says, I found Crystal Ball in the wild and canceled on Walmart before they could cancel on me. Good job, Rachel. Bravo to you. That's how you stick it to the system. Nathan Paul, welcome to the chat, says, my Crystal Ball got canceled yesterday after multiple your item is shipping soon emails. That sucks. Apparently, people are saying that the reason why it's getting canceled is because people don't have funds in their cards, which doesn't make any sense because why would you pre-order a figure on a card that has no funds? You know what I mean? So I don't know what the issue with that is. Pixel Forge says, if I get a Ghost Viper, I won't use any of his glowing stuff. I mean, they're a nice incentive to the figure, but it just means that with all those added effects and accessories, it's probably going to be an expensive figure. Hold on. Robert says, I will accept that as an asterisk. Title Manishir. Shoot, the chat is jumping. Whoa. What just happened here? Crap. I'm so behind now. Okay. Title Manishir says, I'm okay with it. It adds the display options. I agree. Lidub says, I don't see why he gets his own minions and Major Blood has nothing to major. I created my own Major Blood team through ChatGPT. Oh, nice. So what figures do you have in there, Lidub? Share the wealth. Marnu says, I'm fine with him having his own little squad. Makes him seem less like a throwaway character, much more of a real threat. That's true. I mean, realistically, he could be like a Dr. Mindbender from Marvel. You know, just like, again, a lot of you might not see eye to eye with me on this, but imagine if the Joes were out in the field and they're trying to stop Cobra, and then you have this mystical dude who's like levitating up in the air, throwing like green orbs and like these giant ass octopuses and freaking wolves and snakes and stuff that are all like that the Joe team is like hallucinating and stuff. I think that would be really sick. Robert says they've canceled mine and haven't seen one in the world yet. Yeah. Will Newman says, look like Walmart took mine off the shelf and brought it to me last Sunday. Nice. Couch Boy says 5 flag points gets Coco, Trooper, and Officer were sale. Bat and Joe fan says my crystal ball was canceled, so ordered from Toy Arena. My 2-pack divers were canceled, so brought home CMD and Canada. Yeah, I hear that CMD is a pretty reliable store, but they're in Canada, so I guess I don't know how the what do you call it? The conversion is, but it might be a little slightly pricier, but you know. A Romo says, is Crystal Ball a Dreadnought? I don't think he is, but in the description I think they stated he's part of the Dreadnoughts. I personally wouldn't put him in there, but I guess in the description of the product on Walmart's website it says he's, I think, part of the Dreadnoughts, so I don't know. I wouldn't put him in the Dreadnoughts just because he's too mystical to be part of them. The Dreadnoughts are just, you know, biker gang, you know, dudes. Also, let's see if we can hit tonight's goal. Let's do 60 likes for tonight's goal. So we're at 44 likes. If we can get to 60, that'd be freaking awesome. So do your thing, people. Do your thing. Xeno Prime says, I can't wait until they get to hardball. That would be cool. The Gentleman Wake, welcome to the chat. I think this is your first time here. Says, the Ghost Vipers are legit my favorite new character since the Pursuit of Cobra Zombie Vipers. Ooh, zombie Vipers were sick. I'm surprised that what were the other ones called? Mole Rats, right? So we still haven't actually gotten an actual zombie viper, like quote unquote zombie viper just yet. We got those other mole rats for now. William Hussed said, I found Crystal Ball on the pegs today. I almost feel guilty for being so lucky. Don't feel guilty, man. If the toy gods are on your side, take it in, man. Just take it in. Enjoy it. Shoot, I'm a little bit behind on the chat, so give me one moment. Gentleman Wake says I'm getting all 4. I'm getting 4 of them. That's a good number. Lidub says, I'll personally put Crystal Ball on those guys with my Monster Force. Ooh. He would look great with that. Why do I keep forgetting his name? The Monster Force guy with the white suit and then that Egyptian-like head. That would be really sick. Those two would be great fighting each other. Ken Matinee says, at this point, I can take or leave Crystal Ball. Rocky Teller says, the Ghost Vipers seems like Hasbro's attempt to compete with Monster Force, where they have them packaged with animal heads, just like, oh, yeah. The Order of the Crimson Moon, I believe. Yeah. That makes sense. Rachel says, I like the idea of Ghost Viper. Kind of reminds me of Scarecrow from the Batman Begins movie. That's a good one too. Yes. Yeah, you can use this guy as like Ra's al Ghul. Liquid Identity says, Crystal Ball distribution is a mess. Who's shocked? Nobody is shocked. I mean, we're 5 years into Classified, and they've been doing this since 2020. There's nothing surprising at this point about Walmart and Target canceling pre-orders. Yet, it's always just fun to talk about it because it brings out the worst in us. The Real Zim, welcome to the chat, says, I was lucky enough to get Crystal Ball. Really great figure, great detail, and his alternate head is really good. Oh, yeah. Crystal Ball has one of, I think in my personal opinion, one of the greatest alternate heads. I love that head sculpt. JD Sweat says, see, now that I know how to say your name, I feel much better. JD Sweat says, my Crystal Ball was canceled. Probably won't get Ghost Viper now. I mean, who knows? Maybe it can be in your favor. You can find it at Walmart at some point. Couch Boy says Crystal Ball is great. I agree. Jose says they canceled your balls and sent them to the stores for everyone else to buy. That's true. Nerd Alert says someone should do a video on the barrage of lame duck-suited Marvel characters except Spidey villains. Since 2019, it's like a ninja scroll. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm not like the biggest Marvel guy, so I'm sure there's somebody out there that would do that. Liquid Identity says, I got an extra Crystal Ball, but the box was squished in transit. Oh, that sucks. Tagworm, welcome to the chat, says... Oh man, the chat just jumped. Dang it, where did it go? Oh, Tagworm says, I got a notice of a cancellation too, and I see none on the pegs. Welcome to the club, man. Lidub says, I weirdly got 6 crystal balls. I ordered 3 and thought it didn't go through. I got charged and 6 have... I got charged for 6 and have 6. I did sell 3, giving 1 away. Also got Monkey Wrench. Congrats, man. Monkey Wrench is a good one. Royce Wilkerson, welcome to the chat, says, I got my cancellation notice 2 days ago from Walfart. That's a good one. I left them a nasty gram via customer service line of how much their customer service sucks. Yeah. I mean, but at the end of the day, you have to remember that Walmart doesn't care about toys. Their whole thing is about food and diapers and furniture and TVs. I think toys are like their last priority. Okay, let's see. Let's scroll down. Gotta catch up with the chat real quick. Sundar Ganesan, welcome to the chat, bro, with the shark emojis. Victor V, welcome to the chat as well. I think this is your first time here. Good to see you guys. Welcome, welcome. 49er Brian, welcome, welcome. Let's see what Victor V says real quickly. He says, I can see Major Blood having a subset. I think Crystal Ball should be more of a loner type, but I understand how they can add mystical what? Where do they go? Oh, mystical type of figures. 49er says he's got Crystal Ball. That's what's up. Nerd Alert says 6 crystal balls. What are you, starting a psychics clinic? That's funny. All right. So other than that, we'll come back to this Ghost Viper once we get more official product shots, but I think I love the head sculpt, and I think this will be one of the 2 coolest figures to add in my collection. I'm not going to sweat if I don't get it anytime soon. I'll be happy if I get this figure even 2 years down the line, but for now, I think I'm good on, I'm at a very content place in my life with Classified where I don't need to stress about getting figures. So even if I get this 3 years down the line, I'll be fine, but otherwise I'm okay. But I will get this at some point. So those are the Crystal Ball and Ghost Viper figures, which we'll come back to at some point in the future. All right. What's the next topic that we have here? I can't see. I don't know. I'm going blindsided. Next topic we have here is... Oh shit. Cobra Law. Alright. What do you guys think of Cobra Law at the moment in terms of... We have Once a Man Cobra Commander, we have Pythona, which is coming soon, and then we have Nemesis Immortal Enforcer. $49er with the shark emojis. Hell yeah. Good stuff, bro. Thank you. Lidub says, I never order a solo figure from Walmart. I'll order an extra anything just to return it. They destroyed my Major Blood box. Oh, man. Sunder says, we have 11 Night Force figures. Most of them are Subteams. Shoot. Somebody earlier in the chat asked me about Subteams. I forgot who that was. I'm really sorry. William says, you're almost at 100 viewers already. Nice. Okay, so for those of you who haven't liked this video, like it. Vil the Great, what's going on, man? It's good to see you with the shark emojis. Nice, nice. If you guys haven't liked this video, please go ahead and do so. It'll definitely help the channel grow. We have over 100 people here, which I know the number is going to drop as soon as I say it, but it's very nice to see over 100 people here on tonight's stream. So thank you guys so much for joining, and I'm pretty sure it's going to drop, so just wait for it. Pythona looks the best. The Real Zim, welcome. Oh, did I say? I already said yeah. The real Zim says Pythona looks to be the best. Rachel says, I skipped Once a Man, but looking forward to Pythona. Rocky Teller says, I only got interested in them thanks in the part of the Skybound comic, but other than that, I'm not interested. Ken Matinee says, I definitely want Pythona. Chris Yule, welcome to the chat, says Cobras. Yes, yes. Cold Slither, Pixel Forge says, Cold Slither still available for pre-order, gives me hope for Pythona. Yeah, I mean, we've already talked about Cold Slither, but Cold Slither was, again, it's like a very deep cut, and it's like a one on-screen appearance in the G.I. Joe cartoon. Whereas Pythona, despite her also being a one on-screen appearance, but that was part of the G.I. Joe movie. And Pythona is freaking a badass character. Because look, as much as you guys, or some of you, might not like Cobra Law, or might not like Pythona, or just the storyline in general, when I was a kid watching the G.I. Joe movie, you have to remember that this is one random ass character that comes out of nowhere, and she just infiltrates the Cobra Terradrome, which is heavily guarded by like all these troopers, and she makes it all the way down to Serpentor's lair, which is freaking insane. So you know, it's insane to know that like this one character can actually be that badass. So, and personally, I'm not really a fan of this Nemesis Immortal Enforcer version, and I feel like the Hasbro team is going to re-release this one in a more classier version down the line. So I think I'll be getting that version instead. This one looks fine, but it's part of the Skybound Comics design, and since I haven't read it and I don't want to read it, so I could care less about this particular style version of Nemesis Immortal Enforcer. It looks great, don't get me wrong, and I like it, but it's not something I want or need in my collection, at least this particular style. Therefore, I'm gonna wait and hold off on it until we get something better. But Pythona, though, man oh man. And for those who are just looking at this photo for the first time, she was already what do you call it? She was already displayed at Comic-Con, so she looks like 100 times better than this photo that you see here. So she's gonna be a really, really great addition into the Joe team. And again, if you collected G.I. Joes back then, you would know that, I mean, I don't know about any of the older versions of G.I. Joe, but when it comes to like the original like O-ring ones, we haven't gotten a Pythona figure in that scale, like the 3-inch ones. So the fact that she's jumping from 3-inch all the way up to a 6-inch, no pun intended, it's good to see like this figure coming to light, and I think it's long overdue. Royce says she's a badass. Did I read that? I don't remember. Cinder Ganesan says, agreed, Tiger Force needs to be completed. Tiger Force will probably be completed once Lifeline comes in, and then because we have two more Tiger Force figures coming soon, right? Because Lifeline, which has been announced, and then we have Frostbite, which has been announced, and both characters are part of Tiger Force. So we should see a repaint of those two within the next 2 years at some point. Hold on. Robert says hard pass. Nerdler says, I wonder how the O-ring would have looked. Probably good. I mean, so sadly, Nemesis Immortal or Enforcer, that O-ring version didn't do anything justice to the original. So that version kind of sucks, but it's still fine. It's just nothing accurate by any means. But as Ricardo Bonner says, welcome to the chat. I think this is your first time here. He's waiting for Globulus. Yes. So Globulus will probably and most likely is going to be the last figure that they're going to release, because there's no way they're going to do Globulus before a Royal Guard. So with that being said, Globulus is one of those characters where I'm going to also nitpick very, very hard on that figure, and the G.I. Joe team has to very has to be conscious of how they create him, because Globulus does not have legs. Globulus has like what do you call it, like a tail, roughly, like whatever you call it, and he glides in his pod. Therefore, you cannot release Globulus if they don't have his actual, you know, if they don't have like his pod that he comes in to fold his legs or like his tail in there. So, and on top of that, Globulus is a beast of a figure, and he needs to have good muscle. He needs to have good veins. He needs to have half of his arm being green. He needs to be bald headed. He needs to be angry. He needs to be pissed off. He needs to have very good detail on him in order to make it just as intimidating as we have Nemesis, Enforcer, and Pythona. Because if they do anything short for Globulus, I will be pissed, but I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt that if they take enough time to make it good, then I assume it's going to be good. But somebody asked me, how much will Globulus cost? Oh, Robert says, how much will he cost? Does anybody remember how much Nemesis and Once a Man cost? Because I don't remember. I think Globulus will easily be at least around 60 to 80. I know that's crazy price, but you have to remember Globulus, because if you look at the packaging of Globulus, if there is, you know, in the future, my only idea is that in order for him to have his pod, it's probably going to be two separate pieces, and then it's going to be two separate pieces, and then they're probably going to face them the other way, and then you have to take them out of the package and then push them together to create the giant like pod, right? So I feel like that's and that's going to take up a lot of space in the packaging if they, because how are you going to, because maybe the only way they can hit the fig, because there's that Marvel Legends figure, I don't remember his name for you Marvel fans, that figure that sits in the tank, right? I don't know what he looks like, one of the Dreadnoks. I think like they might do a thing where they're gonna have like a gimmick on the figure where you can remove the tail from the body, and then the pod will be a separate piece that you can just peg into it, rather than, they're not gonna do like a whole bendy wire tail like the original O-ring had. Therefore, I think that might seem a more reasonable way to do it, but because I can't imagine collectors now folding this giant ass tail, putting it into the pod, and then like breaking someday in the future, where I'm sure they're gonna probably do a thing where you can take the figure off from the tail and peg it onto the pod, like etc. like that. So yeah, I guess we'll see. Jason says Globulus is a virgin. Maybe. Nerd Alert says I can't picture him in a smaller box. Yes, it has to be a big one, and it's probably going to be an exclusive to like any one of the live con events for sure. Ken Matinee says $100 roughly. BD Bonzi, welcome to the chat, says similar to Serpenter 79. Nice. Yeah, I can see that. Elvin Martinez Jr., welcome to the chat, says didn't know you were live today, glad I caught the stream. Good to see you, man. I'm glad you're able to be here. Peg that mofo. Yeah, otherwise I'm excited because even the Royal Guard, right, those figures are, the design of the Royal Guards is going to be sick. So I know for a fact, I don't want to say for a fact, but I know most likely the G.I. Joe team are going to create two different versions of the Royal Guard. One, they're going to do like probably an intense version of Royal Guard, which it's more like updated and detailed and fit like this version of Nemesis, Enforcer, Immortal. And then they're going to do like the classier version of the Royal Guard, where it has more of that wormy facial expression, like that bug aesthetic. And yeah, I mean, if all three of these figures are designed pretty well, then shoot, Globulus is going to be friggin' sick, and I can't wait. So I'm excited for him. Couchboy says regular buck, 12-inch tall, maybe 25. He'll maybe regular, long tail, huge buck, Lenny can do anything. Yeah. Once a Man was $40. Okay. Nemesis was $89. Whoa. Once a Man was $85. Holy crap. welcome to the chat, 19 Jace. Good to see you, brother. Lidub says, why on earth didn't they do the OG Dreadnoks and Renegades as a 3-pack? I think they will. I think that's a scheme, and a lot of people might say, like, I'm crazy for thinking, or it's easier for them to do 2-packs or solo single releases, but I think at some point down in the future, we might actually see the 3 Dreadnoks, or maybe 4, I don't know, because remember, Marvel Legends and Star Wars, they all have those folding box sets with 4 to 5 figures, or even 6, and then G.I. Joe is the only team aside from the Cold Slither 4-pack that hasn't released like 3-packs yet, or again aside from Cold Slither. So there's a very good chance we could see all 4 Dreadnoks return again in a 4-pack, and then we could see the Renegades in a 3-pack as well. It might not happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do it, because it seems like it's a chance for them to do it. Once a Man was $40. Okay. Yeah, so otherwise, I don't know. I think he'll be a pretty hefty price. Alright, so now let's move away from Cobra Law, because we'll come back to this when Pythona gets released. Oh, and just side note, once we look at the dates for New York City Comic-Con and MCM London, we could see a pre-order for Pythona at some point, so make sure you guys keep the post tabs notification on, as I'll post a link there. But I'm assuming that she's going to be an October release date because it says fall, and right now we are about a week away from September, so I don't think she could be a PulseCon exclusive, or she could be an October release, but we'll see what happens. Sunder says, who's talking eBay prices? Ooh. Rachel says 3-packs haven't sold very well. Viper 3-pack wound up at Ross. Crimson Strike 3-pack was on sale. Oh, that's pretty valid. Okay. Yeah, but then again, those were... Well, I can't speak on behalf of the Tomax and Zama and Baroness, but the Viper 3-pack, yeah, I mean, I do remember seeing posters of them being at Ross. Yeah, you could be right. Alright, but anyways, we'll come back to Cobra Law in a future video, and we'll talk about more of this some point. Alright, and now let's talk about the 2 big enchiladas of tonight's stream, aside from the original 13. Let's take a look at the latest G.I. Joe Classified HASLAB SNOWCAT and what we can expect for future and upcoming figures in 2026, now that the HASLAB has been funded. So I did the liberty of Googling the best I could, so if I've made any mistakes, or if I forgot any names, let me know in the chat. But here we go. So we have the 3 SNOWCAT figures, which is Arctic Lady, Jaye, and Flint. We have Frostbite, who is part of the base offering with the obviously vehicle, the SNOWCAT. And then if you want, you could still utilize the Snake Eyes with the Polar Bear part of this essential group if you want to. And then we have Snow Job, which is, you know, a hard figure to find, or an expensive figure, so we don't know when that figure is going to come out. But according to some of the teases that they did, that Tony from Instagram, or the Tony from the G.I. Joe team posted on Instagram, he offered, you know, that little poll, or an idea of what to expect in the future in terms of what characters we want to see, or, you know, let them know. So I took the liberty in writing down what was seen on the in the background of that poll with all the text and stuff. So this is the G.I. Joe portion. So we know that Iceberg has been confirmed by the G.I. Joe team, so we know he's coming. But then we have characters like Blizzard, Sub-Zero, Wind Chill, Cold Front, Whiteout, and Avalanche. You know, so those are like kind of like, I don't want to say hard hitters, but those are pretty well known in the Arctic sub-team, and we'll see what happens because some of them even come with vehicles, and I'm not sure. Like characters like Cold Front comes with his vehicle, but I don't know if the G.I. Joe team is going to do that. Then there's a Stalker figure with the canoe that surprisingly a lot of people want, so I was kind of like, wow. Then there's a character called Snowstorm, which was a little bit off of my knowledge, but that was when I looked it up, I was like, that's cool. Then we have Quinn, which, you know, kind of goes back and forth, good or bad. I don't know what you want, but then we have the Blind Woodsman who saved Snake Eyes, because we have Snake Eyes with the polar bear, but now we could have the Blind Woodsman with a 6-pack of wolves. If they can do translucent wolves with Ghost Viper, then Quinn or the Blind Woodsman could come out at some point. We have the vehicle Polar Battle Bear, and then we have all the other Joes that could be associated to fur coats like Roadblock, Duke, Scarlet, or any other Joe you want. Snake Eyes in a white fur coat, that could be a possibility. And then in the live stream that on Instagram that the Joe team did, they shared that there's a very good possibility that we'll see Arctic Troopers and Steel Corps and white Steel Corps figures in an Arctic theme. Very similar to the Valorverse Steel Brigade Arctic figures, but any one of these would be fantastic to have in the collection. Hold on. Something just happened here. I think I just lost connection. Hopefully you guys are still here. That sucked. Okay. I think we're good. I briefly lost internet for a second, so that's not good. Okay. Somebody said something. Hold on. Joshua says, also important reminder that there's the 2 Snow Troopers, an Arctic Bat and Arctic Storm Shadow. Yeah, we'll get to Cobras in a second. Lidep says 100% regular or retro snow job. Chris Yule says bootleg crystal balls. Hold on, what just happened? Oh, JP, welcome to the chat. Says they need to re-release the Arctic Bat. Yes, they do. William says I can't stop playing with the polar bear. Articulation, so much fun. That's great, man. As long as you're having fun, that's what's great. Elevate me to the higher human form. Says Iceberg may have 2 head sculpts, one with an open face and other with a yellow mask. Yes, there is 2 versions of Iceberg. The one with the Iceberg with the yellow ski mask. So that could also be a very big possibility. Yeah, man, you can't trust dial-up. I'm still using dial-up, by the way. I told my family to not pick up the phone while I'm streaming right now. It could be a hazard. So yeah, I mean, I think it's very fascinating that now that the SNOWCAT has been funded, you know, now that they're actually talking about like other Arctic characters, so there's a very good chance that like in 2026 we're gonna see a big a big shoot up in terms of Arctic characters, and I'm excited to see characters like Cold Front and Wind Chill and Sub-Zero and Blizzard, even Whiteout, because if you guys remember, Whiteout was one of those characters that was part of the 2000s era. It was part of a 2-pack, and it was basically Snow Job, just an it was like, yeah, it was like a re-release of Snow Job, just in a more darker color. So who knows what will happen with that. Title Manager says, I think the Arctic Bat is up for pre-order. Ooh, I gotta check that out. Marquise Butler or Butler says, Rise of Cobra Arctic Shipwreck could have been the nice 4th tier offering. Yeah, I mean, that would have been great too. Arctic Shipwreck, but then again, Shipwreck is more watery, so I'm breaking up bad. No bueno. I know, I'm sorry. Mawcom, welcome to the chat. It says, what's up, Shark, with the 100 shark emojis. That's so cool. If you sniff whiteout, you'll get high. Yeah. Hold on. Somebody said something. Cinder says, lost you for a minute. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what the hell happened. That's the perks of being a streamer. I was going through this kind of crap. Alright, anyways, so let's go down. Malcolm says, did I get my Rattler? No, I did not. Will Newman says, I got my Rattler today, but now he retracted the message. Ken Matinee says, I consider Big Ben and Snake. Oh, I keep forgetting freaking Big Ben. Damn it. But yes. Shoot, I gotta put Big Ben. But see, Big Ben, that Big Ben was Night Force, and I think the other version of Big Ben is in similar color schemes, but it's also different too. In terms of, it's more vibrant green, and it has like the wider, well, the Night Force one is very similar to the original, but yeah. Oh, Lawrence Cooley, welcome to the chat. Did I say that already? I don't remember. Somebody new joined in here. I don't remember who they were, where they were. I'm trying to find you wherever you are. Okay, anyways. So yeah, otherwise, the things that the characters I'm also very excited for is the Arctic Troopers, because we're probably most likely going to see the molds for these Flint and Lady J figures once again with the fur coats come back with all the other characters at some point, and then I can't wait to see the Steel Core and Arctic White like color scheme, which would be sick. Then yeah, otherwise vehicles, I don't know, we'll see what happens. A Romo says 97 people watching, but mine says 106. So yes, we have over 100 people watching in tonight's stream. Let's hit that like button. I don't know what the goal. Let's hit that like button, guys. Come on, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. You can do it. All right. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything else to say about these other than we should see, like, I'm very excited for Windchill. That's like one of my favorite Arctic characters. Avalanche is gonna be sick. I think there's you know, the Avalanche part of Battle Force 2000, but I just threw him in there for the sake of it. Cold Front is great, but he also comes with his vehicle, so I don't know if we're gonna see that anytime soon. Sub-Zero is a great one because he has like that light blue color scheme, so that should be great. And then Blizzard is great. He has like the maroonish white colors, which will be, no, what is it? No, I'm thinking of, no, that is Blizzard, yeah. And then yeah, all these other snow ass characters. 19 says, I liked before I chatted. Thank you so much, 19. Pixel says, you blew 60 out of the water. Time for Thumbs Goal version 2. Yeah, I think because I lost connection a bit, some people thought that I dipped. William says, I've been having so much fun with my Rattler. Good stuff, man. How is the quality? Have you gotten any QC issues? Yeah, as long as Mortal Kombat does not copyright the name Sub-Zero, I think they should be fine. But okay. Anywho, so we'll come back to this list at some point because JD Sweat says October Guard would be cool. I know there's a very big fan base for October Guard. It's just one of those things where I don't think we're gonna see any October Guards anytime soon. And I don't want to get political or anything, but there's a very good chance we might not see any of those anytime soon, unless there's a loophole and they decide to change names and not call them, or change their origin stories, or change something else. I don't know, but again, October Guard seems like a very tough thing to do. At least in the G.I. Joe world, because again, if they're that sensitive for the police officer from the Legacy series, the October Guard is definitely, you know, another thing that is gonna trip them up. So, and again, we have no hooded Cobra Commander either. So the Hasbro team, or even G.I. Joe, are like the modern era of G.I. Joe is very sensitive at the moment. So back then we got away with a lot of shit, but in the 80s and 90s, but now it's like, yeah, it's very sensitive for collectors, or the team at this moment, or for Hasbro. Pixel says they can do an October Guard multi-pack. That would be sick. Yeah, just, you know, might as well get them all in one shot. Do like a multi-pack. That would be sick. Robert says, I'm enjoying the battle damage more than I thought I would. That's good. Alright. So anyways, let's move on to the next portion, which will talk about the Cobra portion of the, and so what I'm going to do is, in the future, I'm going to keep track of this list that we have here, and we'll come back to them in the future, and we will eliminate Arctic characters once more come down the line, so that should be exciting. Then we have the latest rumor and excitement for the G.I. Joe line is there's a big speculation rumor that we're going to see an Arctic hiss becoming a thing at some point in the line. So I took the liberty again going on Google and researching what Arctic characters that we have in terms of Cobra characters. Now, I don't know if I would double dip on vehicles in terms of getting an Arctic version of the Hiss, because I like the standard black one anyway. I mean, we know that there's also a blue version of the Hiss tank, so that could be one thing. But to get an Arctic Hiss tank, that seems like insane, because when you look at the characters that I could at least think of and find on the good old Google, we know that there's Ice Viper, but Ice Viper comes with his signature wolf vehicle, so we can kind of eliminate him off the list. But then there's some interesting characters like the Arctic Viper and Cobra Troopers that have like their jackets on. Characters like Televiper and Scrap Iron came in a 6-pack, where they're wearing like lighter blue jackets and more of the fur coats and etc. There's Dr. Mindbender and Cobra Commander that both have their coat versions, and we know that Super 7 just released a O-ring version of Cobra, or was it Reaction or O-ring? I don't know, it's one or the other. They released a Cobra Commander wearing a coat, so chances are we could see another Cobra Commander come down the line. Then there's the Pursuit of Cobra Destro. That version looks pretty sick, but I don't know if we will get a snow Arctic version of Destro before we get the Destro with his despoiler, the Iron Grenadier version of Destro, so we'll see what happens with that one. And then if you look at Tony's Instagram post at that time, he said Snow Bunny Baroness. So I had to Google that one just to get an idea of what the hell I'm looking at. And that version of Baroness had like a white fur coat and had like a hood on and everything, kind of like how Snowjob had his hood. But that Baroness was kind of equipped with a lot of accessories. I don't know if that was a custom or a real figure. I tried to look as much as I could, but it seems like we could see, and a lot of these characters have already been released, like Televiper, Scrap Iron, Destro, Baroness, Cobra Commander, Mindbender. So we could see like more troop builders for the HISS tank in terms of just like how they did the 788 fire team. Maybe they can do like an Arctic you know, troop building set for the Cobras, because why not? Lidub says fudge it, just make a damn coats, soft goods. Yeah, they could. Like a whole accessory pack of soft goods coats, that would be sick. Sundar Ganesan says the Sub-Zero freezer has been copyrighted since 1945. Ooh. Spitting facts. Rachel says reaction. Okay, thank you. Steve Kroll, welcome to the chat. I think this is your first time here. He says Mindbender head on Techno Viper is awesome. Ooh, I should think about that. Joshua says, I believe Snow Bunny is just a term for an attractive woman in a ski or snow gear. Okay, because that was the actual wording on Tony's Instagram on his little post that he did. So I just wrote whatever he wrote on there, which was the Snow Bunny Baroness. And we've seen that the Baroness that came with the Rattler is probably one of the best head sculpts that they've done. Therefore, this should be a good one. It should be a good looking Baroness for sure, so I like that. I mean, it's gonna look sick. What else? Let's see. Chris Yule says I'd get one. Pixel Forge says I have one HISS and that's enough. Yeah, honestly, like due to the size, I think the GI Joe team, I mean, as long as it's not a HASLAB and it's an actual like release of the vehicle, that would be great, just because if the next HASLAB is an Arctic HISS, I think that would piss off a lot of people, despite how great it's going to look with its all white color scheme. But we already have it, so this HISS has to be a retail release where you strip away the LED lights and the extra tiers and the add-ons and the weapons and etc., and you just give us the tank. But perhaps, I don't know how they would do a smaller scale HISS tank though, because the HASLAB one was freaking huge. So I don't know what they would have to take away from it in order to make it a, let's say like a Pulse exclusive Arctic HISS tank pre-order. Again, the sizing and scaling of all this would be tough for sure. Oh, Mr. Madgus, welcome to the chat. Says Snow Bunny is a term for cute white woman. Nice. Well, that's yeah, that is good to know. But yeah, so because it's still earlier on in the classified line in terms of Arctic stuff, like we'll come back to all these in the future, and I'll keep a tab on this list of anyone, you know, of anyone who wants to see how far off we are with this list. Rachel says, anyone remember the Valor vs. Venom Snow Wolves? They basically look like snow serpents, but they came with the wolf animal comparison. I love that movie. I love Valor vs. Venom. I love Spy Troops. That was awesome. Alright, so we'll come back to these snow dudes in the future, because we're still in 2025, and this is like jumping the shark, no pun intended, to like 2 years ahead of the game. But this is all wishful thinking at some point, but we'll see what the G.I. Joe team does. Maybe they'll do an Arctic zombie Viper. Who knows? Anything is possible. Then if we look at the name only leaks and prototypes, there's really nothing new here, so we can fast forward this part. There's really nothing to talk about on this one. And then we have the upcoming figures, which I've already done a video on in the latest SHARKNEWZ video, so we've pretty much already talked about that. But the thing I do want to talk about here is Actually, hold on, give me 1 second. Let me see if I can pull something out. Alright, so before I talk about these events here, first of all, being a physical media collector, just a sideline, I have G.I. Joe the movie on DVD, which obviously is freaking the greatest thing ever, so I love it, but this is what I really wanted to talk about was, where are you? G.I. Joe Spy Troops on DVD. I mean, I know a lot of people might not actually like this movie, but man, oh man, this is very nostalgic for me. I just love, if you guys remember back in the day, the Spy Troops, they had a website. GIJOE.com used to be this website where they were heavily promoting the Spy Troops, and I remember I used to be on that website like almost every single day to see if they updated it. And they had Duke on there who would sit there in front of the command center and talk about like upcoming missions, and the trailer for Spy Troops was probably one of the greatest trailers I've seen to bring back G.I. Joe in a very, very, very long time. The back of the movie looks, although the actual movie itself is like, it was different from the trailers because the trailers had like a darker tone to it, but this movie though, definitely one of my favorites. And then what Rachel was talking about, and who else was talking about before, but Valor versus Venom. This is where they introduced Dr. Talbot, or if I said his name wrong, whatever. Then Venomous Maximus, which was a very awesome, character. And then this movie introduced like a lot of other characters, and Kamakura, which I think is sick, and more showdowns with Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. So this was great. And then last but not least, well, this is a nice DVD for those who don't know. There's a DVD called Ninja Battles. It introduces us to a lot more ninjas in this timeline of G.I. Joe. So it's all 3D animated. It's definitely one of my favorites to watch. You definitely check it out. It talks more in depth with the Arashi Kage and all that stuff. So, and of course, last but not least, we have freaking Resolute on DVD. How can you not love this? This movie, I'm not going to explain it. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's a 10 out of 10. It's probably the greatest G.I. Joe animation we've seen in a very, very, very long time. So yeah. So I just wanted to sidetrack that with my movies real quickly. But anyways, let's quickly talk about the upcoming events for 2025 before we conclude the year, because we know that we're going to have nothing in November and December other than the Black Friday sales and stuff like that. So at the moment, I have no idea when PulseCon is. I'm assuming it's going to be in September, because October seems like a very full time frame for pre-orders and releases, in terms of because already in October we have New York Comic Con, we have MCM London, and then we have Hasbro's 1027 event. Hasbro's 1027 event is literally the last event of the year, because it's literally at the end of October, and then of course for the holidays around Christmas and Thanksgiving, there's going to be absolutely zero classified news until February of 2026, which is G.I. Joe Day. So we know that the Target Fall Geek Out event will have the Steeler and Short Views 2-pack go up for pre-order. We know that Pythona could easily be a PulseCon release, or it's going to be a according to Paternia, it's supposedly a New York Comic Con and MCM London pre-order. So we're looking at anywhere from October 9th to the 26th to get your Pythona figure. And then as for Hasbro 1027, we have no idea what the hell they're gonna do for that. So, and also for the chat, we are at 90 likes. Before we conclude, if we can hit to 100 likes, it's only 10 more people. Let's do it. Let's see if we can do it. I gotta read the chat real quick. All right, so we're talking about the movies. Rachel says a new HIS would only have one canopy, no electronics. Yes, 100%. Mr. Madga says it would be exclusive or made to order. Don't see it just going to retail. If it's made to order, it's kind of similar to like a hat. Not really a hat. Well, I don't know how I feel or people would feel about made to order. Joshua says I've been watching Sigma 6 on Tubi. It's not my Joe, but it's not bad. I tried to watch it. I couldn't get past episode 3, and I was like, all right. I have seen it back in the day. I wanted to rewatch it, and I don't know. Rachel says Tiger Claw and Shadow Striker cool. Yes, definitely. JP says we need a new animated show. Wasn't there supposed to be a new animated G.I. Joe cartoon that was like in the works for the past 3 years? I don't know what the hell happened to that. There's been no updates on that ever since. Zach Zebrock, welcome to the chat. I think this is your first time here. He says, I finally got my Rattler today. Nice, nice. Congrats, man. Alright, we're at 97. Okay, so we got 4 more. 98. Okay. 3 more to go. Or 2 more. I don't know. I can't count anymore. Benny says, yo, let's go Shark. Nerd Alert says, come on, 100 for Shark. Yeah. So we're at 98 likes right now. Let's get those 2 mores. Who wants to be the last 2 people? Steve Kroll says Arctic Hiss would have to use the same mold. Yeah, but the thing is that the molds are really huge though, so I don't know how they would actually release like that same size, but then being at like a Pulse exclusive. You know what I mean? Like it's very tricky because you know they're not going to put it on Target websites and whatever. Couchboy says Kirkman is supposed to be doing an Energon cartoon. Yeah, but I'm personally not a fan of G.I. Joe and Transformers intertwining with each other. As cool as it could be, because like I'm actually very nervous for that live action G.I. Joe Transformers movie, because first of all, they are like shitting on Transformers like crazy. They don't know what the hell they're doing, and then on top of that they're adding G.I. Joe, and it's just becoming a mess at this point. They can't even get a proper G.I. Joe movie, and now they're just adding G.I. Joe with Transformers. Makes no sense. Mr. Madgus, I'm number 99. Well, first of all, congratulations to everybody. We've hit over 100 likes. Thank you guys so much. We are at 104. Thank you guys so much. Will Newman says a Robo Skull. So I want to ask you guys in the chat, let me know, for you guys that are still here in the chat, let me know what topics do you guys want to talk about in future live streams, because I can obviously do this like every week and do my own thing, but if there's any other topics in terms of G.I. Joe that you want to talk about, or like sub teams or anything, you know, feel free to let me know in case you guys get like bored of, you know, talking about this stuff. So you know, let me know what you want to see or what you're interested in. It'll definitely help with me trying to stay more creative on the channel for sure. See, Robert says I'm not down with the Joes and Transformers together. We need some media that's not print and toys, keeping Joe alive. No cartoon, no show, no film, nothing new, just books. Yeah, but I don't know how many people are still reading these days. I know that there are still comic collectors out there, but I don't know. I feel like Mockcom says the anime series got canceled. Title Manager says Subteams and vehicles. Will Newman says, I wonder if the Hasbro team will bring the Red Shadow, Black Major, and Baron Ironblood into the classified line. I don't know if they are, because Monster Force, right? Or what is it? What are they called? Fresh Monkey Fiction. They are already including all that in there. Uh, 19J says retail exclusive figures and how they suck, but not for scalpers. I could. I was thinking, Mr. Magus says, I was thinking about kicking my wife out, but realized I need her half for the mortgage. Books. Gem and the Holograms. That's a good one. Books and Live and People Choose. I thought Valaverse had that line. The Path of the Adventures. I see. Alrighty. So, I'll definitely figure something out for the time being, because again, so just even based off this list that we see right here, we know that the next we know that October is going to be massive for GIJOE Classified, and then September seems like the only thing for the 2-pack of for Steeler and Short Fuse and ImpulseCon. I honestly don't know what the hell is going to be released. And then on top of that, we know that we don't know for sure, but Ralph Vader guy, man, you have such timing. We know that the police officer is rumored to be going up for pre-order sometime soon, so I'll definitely provide a link for that at some point. So with that being said, Ralph Vader guy, I deeply apologize. With that being said, I want to thank you guys all for watching on tonight's stream. It was definitely fun. I'm sorry for that little lack of that internet connection that went down earlier, but I'm glad it still worked. So stay tuned for a new SHARKNEWZ video soon, and then we'll definitely be going live again next week. I don't know what day or time, but otherwise we should have some pretty cool topics to talk about. Thank you guys so much for the 108 likes on tonight's stream. You guys are freaking awesome. Very, very cool. And thank you to everyone who spent your Thursday nights with me, and for all of you that are in the chat, and for all of you who have been watching but were not in the chat. Thank you guys so much. So I love all you guys. Thank you for spending this time with me and talk about GI Joes. Hug your loved ones, eat something great, have a great weekend, enjoy collecting, and if anything new comes up, we'll definitely have more videos and I'll have more content to put out at some point. So thank you guys once again for joining. Thank you for all of you guys for being freaking awesome, keeping this chat one of the best positive chats I've ever seen on a YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much. You guys are freaking awesome. I'll see you guys all in the next live stream, and stay collecting, enjoy collecting, stay happy, and collect what you love. Don't worry about what other people say. Have a great night. See you guys in the next live stream. And until then,